Hello and welcome to ABN News Headlines tonight. We have a number of stories lined up for you today from around the world. Like the video, leave your comments and also share. I am Jane Ngwena for Advent Broadcast Network. More than 300 people are dead as monster typhoon batters the Philippines. The death toll rose to at least 375 following the strongest typhoon to batter the Philippines this year, with 56 people still missing and several central towns and provinces grappling with the downed communication and power outages and pleading for food and water. At its strongest, Typhoon Rai packed sustained winds of 121 miles per hour and gusts of up to 168 miles per hour before it blew out on Friday into the South China Sea. At least 375 people were killed and 56 remained missing, and more than 500 others were injured, according to the National Police. The toll was expected to increase because several towns and villages remained out of reach due to downed communication, power outages, and clogged roads, although massive cleanup and repair efforts were underway with the improved weather. Many of those who died were hit by falling trees or walls, drowned in floods, or were buried in landslides. A 57-year-old man was found dead hanging from a tree branch, and a woman was blown away by the wind and died in Negros Occidental province, the police reported. About 20 storms and typhoons annually batter the Philippines, which lies between the Pacific Ocean and South China Sea. The Southeast Asia archipelago also lies along the seismically active Pacific Ring of Fire region, making it one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. A McDonald's teen employee hopped through the drive-through window to save a customer choking on a chicken nugget. A Saturday afternoon shift turned into an act of heroism from one Minnesota teen when 15-year-old Sydney Raleigh clocked in for her Saturday shift at McDonald's in Eden Prairie, a few miles south of Minneapolis. She didn't expect to clock out as a hero. Sydney has been working at McDonald's for around 7 months and told CNN that this was just another routine weekend shift. After handing a customer some of her food in the drive-thru, Sydney popped back out of the window to let her know the rest was on the way. That's when Sydney noticed the woman was choking on a chicken nugget. Sydney instructed both her manager and the woman's daughter to call 911 as she quickly jumped through the window to help the woman. Sydney said she took a Red Cross babysitter class at age 11, where she learned the Heimlich maneuver, and all that training immediately kicked in. The maneuver didn't work the first couple of times, and so Sydney tried and asked a bystander for assistance. Eventually, the nugget was set free and the woman was able to breathe again. Afterwards, the woman was in shock but very thankful towards Sydney. 2 officers from Edina Police Department then arrived on the scene to check on the woman and had a reward for the teen. Same-sex marriage legalization by country. Since Netherlands' legalization of same-sex marriage in 2000, more than 24 countries have followed in the path by then blazed for LGBT rights in the 20 years since the law's passage. 2021 in particular has seen leaps in the realm of same-sex marriage and parental rights. A decision made this week by the European Court of Justice has furthered the rights LGBTQ families in the European Union. The court ruled that all countries in the European Union must recognize a child's parental relationship if another member state has already done so. Though the landmark ruling doesn't legalize same-sex unions across the EU, it represents a step forward in breaching the East-West split over LGBTQ rights. As of December 2021, 31 countries across the globe have legalized same-sex marriage marriages nationally and regionally through legislation or court decisions. Despite continued prohibition in South and Central Asia as well as many African nations, there's speculation that the tides will turn in countries such as Philippines, where candidates supporting same-sex marriages and civil unions are increasingly present in elections. Boeing and Airbus warned the U.S. over 5G safety concerns. Bosses from the world's two biggest plane makers have called on the U.S. government to delay the rollout of new 5G phone services. In a letter, top executives at Boeing and Airbus warned that the technology could have an enormous negative impact on the aviation industry. Concerns have previously been raised that C-band spectrum 5G wireless could interfere with aircraft electronics. The U.S. telecoms giants AT&T and Verizon are due to deploy 5G services on January the 5th. 5G interference could adversely affect the ability of aircraft to safely operate. The bosses of Boeing and Airbus Americas, in a joint letter to the U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, said. The letter cited research by trade group Airlines for America, which found that if the FAA FG5 rules had been in effect in 2019, around 300,000 passengers and 5,000 cargo flights could have faced delays, diversions or cancellations. The aviation industry and the FAA have raised concerns about potential interference of 5G with sensitive aircraft equipment like radio altitude receptors. The kidnapped U.S. missionaries made a daring overnight escape from Haiti. The captive missionaries from Haiti found freedom last week by making a daring overnight escape, eluding their kidnappers and walking for miles over difficult moonlit terrain with an infant and other children in tow, according to the agency they work for. The group of 12 navigated by stars to reach safety after a 2-month kidnapping ordeal. The officials with the Christian Aid Ministries, the Ohio-based agency that the captive missionaries work for, said. The detailed accounting of their journey to safety comes after news Thursday that the missionaries were free. A total of 17 people from the missionary group, 12 adults and 5 minors, were abducted on October the 16th, shortly after visiting an orphanage in the Croix de Bouquet area, where they verified it had received aid from the organization and played with the children. The group included 16 Americans and 1 Canadian. Their captors from the 400 Mawozo gang initially demanded millions of dollars in ransom. 5 other captives had earlier reached freedom. It is still unclear if any ransom was paid. The 12 who fled last week carried the infant and 3-year-old, wrapping the baby to protect her from the briars and brambles, the organization spokesman Weston Showalter said. The 12 were flown to Florida on a U.S. Coast Guard flight and later reunited with 5 hostages who were released earlier. In Kenya, 3 people are killed in Machakos road accident. 3 people died while several others sustained injuries in a fatal accident along Koma Canal Road in Machakos County on Tuesday. Kangundo Level 4 hospital manager Evayo Loveto said 3 bodies of 2 women and a child had been moved to the hospital's mortuary. Witnesses said the 3 died on the spot following a head-on collision between a Prado and a Probox, which occurred between Koma Hill and Canal around area near Masokani Market in Matungulu Sub-County on Tuesday. Matungulu Sub-County Police Commander Monica Kimani confirmed the incident. Kimani, however, said she was yet to get details of the accident from her officers, whom she said were still out attending to the victims. No details yet. The officers are still out. The wreckages were towed to KBC police station awaiting inspection. Police in Ohio recover a stolen 58-foot bridge. The police in Ohio said they have arrested a suspect accused of stealing an entire 58-foot pedestrian bridge that was being temporarily stored in a field. The Akron Police Department said David Bramley, who is 63, of Sharon Township, was arrested and charged with felony theft after a search warrant executed on a property in Medina County resulted in the partially disassembled bridge being recovered. Police said Bramley allegedly paid a local trucking company for a crane service, and the crane was used to lift the bridge onto and off a vehicle used to transport it from Akron Field, at which it was being stored, to Medina County property. The bridge formerly served as a pedestrian walkway along the Little Cuyahoga River in Middlebury Run Park, but was moved to an open field as part of the wetlands restoration project. Police said the city had planned to repurpose the bridge in another location, but discovered it had been stolen from the storage field. Authorities did not reveal any possible motive for the theft. And that brings us to the end of our news headlines tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, liking the video and sharing it. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I have been your host for today, Jane Mwena.